Welcome to the RPG Maker General Podcast, or the rpgmg, your one-stop shop for everything RPG Maker. This is Cody, aka Marpix. With me today are Blue Sky Robin.
Yo, I'm here.
And the Red Mage.
Hey everybody, what's going on?
Well, here's what's going on. It's March Madness, motherfucker!
It's true. Hell yeah, man.
Yes.
I am ready. I am so ready.
Oh, yeah.
God, nobody's ready after their brackets blew up last night.
Well, that's true. Well, no, I just mean, I'm like, because after that, and I'm just kind of ready to see where things are going to go from here. Is it going to just kind of play out like everybody expects, or are we going to have just more just complete and utter chaos this whole time, which would be great because that kind of fits the theme of madness, but my brackets are kind of, already broken now, so I don't really know where I'm going to go from this.
They all started the brackets, huh? All right. I'm looking forward to seeing what the NC State Wolfpack did. Oh, man, I'm so rooting for him.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll look them up in a second, but right now we got to talk about UMBC, my dude.
Yeah.
The Retrievers destroyed the Cavaliers 74-54. The first half, dead heat. Second half, okay. The Retrievers win by 20 points.
That's big.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, that's a lot.
Here's the question I'm posing to you guys.
Okay.
Did the Retrievers win the game, or did the Cavaliers lose the game?
I don't know, because it felt like when I was watching it that, because the Cavs usually have like a really solid defense, and it just kind of seemed like they sort of fell apart, and I can't honestly tell if it was just the Retrievers doing something crazy here and just kind of blowing up through and kind of just, outwitting them at every turn, or if they were so sure of their victory that they, maybe stayed up a little too late and having a little party, and the next day they were just not on their game and they completely lost it. It seems like it's more that the Cavs lost it than the Retrievers won. Not anything against them, but with the defense falling apart like it did, that's just what it feels like to me.
I am speechless, dude. I have no words. Like, a 20-point lead is, like, crazy. And from halftime, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you think that this was the result of the hard work of the Retrievers, or do you agree with Red Mage that the Cavs they fucking blew it?
I have no idea. Like, it'll be such a great underdog story if they totally did it through sheer force of will. I'm willing to believe that.
Yeah, their upcoming game is going to be like, we're going to know in a couple days.
Yeah, once they go up against Kansas State, we'll know for sure what the real outcome here was.
I mean, I agree with you, Red Mage, that Virginia's looking at this and they're going, a 16 has never beat a 1. Our coach isn't worried. We shouldn't be worried. We're going to play the good defense we always do. And they were just overmatched.
Yeah.
You could see that. The first half, dead heat. Like, both sides were competing, but UMBC wanted it more. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they definitely did. I mean, they've got a lot more to prove, too, because they're, from what I remember, they're pretty recent, too, as like an established school and that kind of thing. So they don't have as much history as all the other ones, but they made it into the, into the bracket, and apparently they're ready to go all the way.
Yeah, this is their first NCAA victory ever, and what a victory it was.
Yeah. I just kind of feel bad, too, because now you've got all the hype around it, with everything that's going on, and then Kansas State now are going to be the ones that potentially, like, just shuts down this dream. You kind of almost have to feel bad for them, because it's like, if they win, cool, but everybody's going to shit on them for, for ruining the dream. And on the other hand, if they lose, then they're going to get shit on for losing to a Seed 16. So it's like, you can't really win for Kansas State.
Yeah, like if you enter a Smash Brothers Melee tournament and, like, you're facing Mango, right?
Yeah.
And Mango decides that he's going to fart around and play Captain Falcon. Well, if you win, you beat Mango's Captain Falcon. But if you lost to Mango's Captain Falcon.
Right, exactly.
Either you lose the actual battle or you lose the moral battle. You don't really win.
Yep. Yeah, and that's exactly what Kansas State is going to be going up against too. Is they're kind of fucked either way. So
the guard in UMBC, KJ Moore, he's 5'8", and he's a guard.
Yeah.
That just tells you how hungry they are. Like, this guy's like, I want to play basketball. I am here to slam with the best, motherfucker.
It's true. You don't really see people, like basketball players, under that, under like 5'10", 6 feet. So the 5'8" is just very, very small out on the court.
Yeah, freaking, I picked Gonzaga to win it all, and they had 3 people last year who left that were 7 feet. Like, they're just walking up to the hoop like, whatever.
Right.
They got it. Even though Gonzaga had all those people leave, I'm still picking them to win it all. Like, they got thrashed by North Carolina last year. They probably still want it. I mean, the remaining part of the team still wants it. That's what I'm rooting for.
Yeah. No, I'm still having to, out of both pride and just my heritage, I guess. I'm originally from Michigan, so Michigan Wolverines, they've won the Big Ten twice in a row. They won it last year. They won it this year. They're ready. And I'm still backing them all the way. I've got them on my bracket going all the way and winning. So we'll see what happens. I had them going up against UVA, but that's not happening anymore. So we'll kind of see what happens from here.
Mm-hmm. So Robin, you said you were going with NC State?
Yeah, the NC State Wolfpack. I mean, like, I don't follow so closely because I'm not even in the country, but like
Right.
they have just such a cool name, like NC State Wolfpack. Like, it just tells me like they got this unity and ferocity and agility and all that good stuff that would make a winning team, you know? I'm sure they're gonna get real far in this tournament, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and next up they face number 1 seeded Kansas. They're fighting the Jayhawks. How do you think your Wolfpack's gonna do against some Jayhawks, Robin?
That doesn't sound like a cool name, so I don't know.
Sounds like a sneeze.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure some wolves could beat some birds. That sounds like a pretty straight and narrow fight to me.
God. Well, in the context of things, you think about like Superman versus the Flash, who would win in a fight. My thought is, birds, they can fly.
Yeah.
The birds, it's hard for birds to lose that fight. Or you think about the Flash, he can just run away. He's faster than Superman. The Flash will not lose that fight unless he chooses to.
That's fair.
It'd be like the Sharks versus the Utah Jazz. Who wins? Sharks can't play instruments, and they can't hear the music.
But sharks can eat an instrument, and so I would go with the sharks.
Good choice.
God. Anything you guys want to touch on before we get to the actual game itself?
Michigan State sucks. That's pretty much all.
Robin?
Wow. Should we like touch up on the last thing? Because I wasn't here yesterday when you were talking about the thing.
All right. So, Robin, we covered Night Quest yesterday. Go play it real quick and tell us what you think.
Oh.
Yeah, go take like 5 seconds and play Night Quest, and we'll wait for you.
You told me to come to... Okay, fine, hold on.
And while he's doing that, I'm going to say, go, go, Gonzaga!
All right, I'm back.
Okay, how was it?
Well, it's a fun game. I like the combat. The combat's good. Like simple forward controls. Magic sucks.
Yeah.
And like those ghost enemies sucks even more. I hate them.
Yeah.
Fuck them and being immune to attacks.
Right.
And I do not like how that witch woman just revives at the end for no reason.
I bitched about that so much, so I am very glad that you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes no sense and like cheapens her death from earlier, but whatever. Happy ending.
Evil is defeated and Tabasa is revived.
Yeah, I mean, when I got to it, I was like, "Who's Tabasa?" Oh, right, the person who like helped you one time.
Yeah, that made you run all over the fucking country, and then was there for like 2 seconds to help you fight a boss, and then just, I'm dead.
All right.
All right, so your final rating for Night Quest, Robin?
Yeah, it's a real good game. I like it. 7 out of 10.
Perfect.
Okay.
Alright, so the game we're covering today is Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden. This was made by Tales of Games, released back in 2008. Like our friends at Glitched and Virgo vs. the Zodiac, it originally started on RPG Maker, but originally found its way to another engine when the developers started demanding more than RPG Maker could handle. It is a unique game.
Yep.
It stars b-ball legend Charles Barkley on his quest to attain the ultimate b-ball and defeat Blood Moses. We'll get to the story in a second. We'll get to the characters, the writing, the world in a second. Oh, we'll get to the gameplay in a second too.
Okay.
What I want to start with is the structure. It is built in the finest of JRPG traditions.
It's true.
You have b-ball has-been Charles Barkley. He's a struggling father. He's accidentally destroyed the thing he loves, b-ball, and he lost the other love of his life, Maureen. You are given about 5 minutes to walk around the ruins of Neo New York in the post-cyber apocalypse and take in what Charles Barkley has been living with ever since the b-ball purge. You are given this moment of peace, and then suddenly, a disaster, a conspiracy, you're whisked away. And Charles Barkley not only goes on this quest to redeem himself, but to redeem the game of basketball.
It's a very powerful message, and they do a very good job. I mean, kind of at the end of the day, you know, you think, oh, it's just basketball. But this is still something that's very important to Barkley and then everybody else in there. And they go a really long way to making sure that the player is also engaged, even if you're not a basketball fan. They do a really good job of making you want to follow this quest through, because they follow the breadcrumbing very, very well as far as JRPGs go, and you just get a little taste of something more at pretty much every cutscene, and you want to keep going forward. They do a really good job with it.
Yep, I'm into it too. I'm not good at like making long speeches. Okay, all right. I'm tired.
It's fine. What was that thing you said earlier today? Like, it's got a sensible logic or whatever.
Oh, right. It's like the way the story goes is like, it makes a lot of sense. The sense of progression is always escalating. It's like a good story or book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one thing, but then another, and it keeps building up until the end, and then after the end, everything's great.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have escaping from Neo New York, and then you have to find the cyber dwarf, and then you have to construct the ultimate b-ball, which has its own sets of steps, and then your son gets diabetes for some reason, and then you go to space.
Yeah, well, yeah, that part of the story is like not my favorite because it was a little too off, but the rest was great.
Yeah,
the sense of progression, like, the stakes keep building and building. When it reaches the final battle and the climax, it's real great. It's amazing.
I unironically believe that the end of Barkley Gaiden is better than FF6. and I say that because in FF6, you know who the villain is. It's Kefka. You know, There's nothing additional to be revealed. It's let's go kick the shit out of Kefka. And when you finally get there, he says, "You all sound like something out of a self-help novel." Whereas in Barkley Gaiden, you don't know who's running Blood Moses until you fight them.
Right.
If you played the game for longer than a minute, you know that Michael Jordan is working as a b-ball inspector, and he's a bad guy, and he's up there, but he's not the bad guy.
Right. He's not the big bad. He's like a medium to little bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Going back to what you said, Red Mage, you know, the game really makes you care. Like everyone else in America, I know what basketball is. I have a passing knowledge of it.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me of Metal Gear Solid in the sense that instead of everyone's hobby being war, it's basketball. So they all understand each other both on a personal level and in the context of the game.
Right. And that's a very interesting thing, too, that they did, is they made it so that to some capacity, every character is involved. Well, all the major ones are involved with basketball in some way. So they all have this camaraderie, familiarity with one another, because it's like, oh, I know you. You also do this thing that I do. So.
Yeah, or you could never beat me, or you were really religious and you put it into your b-ball play, or your play was like you were good at slamming but not jamming.
Right.
In the context of the game, those don't mean anything, but for the audience, the person reading them, they mean a bit.
Yeah.
I don't have to know what slams and jams are to understand kind of what you're saying.
Right.
It's a little like world building in most other RPGs, like, oh, they have a fancy word for special mineral A or special mineral B, and the magic is called, I don't know, alchemy or something. It's like that. Like, they're replacing a lot of words, but it feels really familiar.
Yeah, that's one thing I was gonna say too. Is basically if you took like the opening of the game and just have it be, my name is Charles Barkley. Magic is dead. I'm one of the last surviving wizards. And you just kind of replace all of the words with standard RPG cliches, the game plays exactly the same. And it's something that's more standard fare for RPG makers. So it's very interesting that just by basically undressing an RPG and putting it in basketball shorts and a jersey, that it has dramatically changed how the game is approached in general.
I know that Looking Glass, who made the game Thief, they had a similar idea when they were making Thief, because they wanted to make a stealth game, and their whole thing was like, well, it's going to be primarily about stealth, not combat or explosions or anything like that. How do we make it accessible? How do we make it recognizable? And they said, well, we call it Thief. Then the game title tells you exactly what the goal of the game is.
Right.
Making it a tiny bit recognizable really helps with not only getting the message out, but helping people connect with it. And obviously the Barkley people knew that because basketball in the mid-90s was huge. Like, Michael Jordan is not an actor, but you put his ass in Space Jam and people are going to watch it.
Right. And his acting in that movie is very bad. But... but...
It was okay.
But you still get to see Jordan alongside the Looney Tunes playing basketball against 5 aliens that stole the b-ball powers of 5 other greats at the time. It was a magical time of basketball. You had a lot of people that were really big names, and they were blown up just due to, not social media, but regular media at that point. And it just kind of became its own little world, and that is embraced wholeheartedly in this game.
Big personalities in an even bigger game.
Yeah, for sure. I also very much like just at the very beginning of the game where it's like, warning, this game is canon.
Oh,
just kind of like, yeah, that, like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, all right, time to buckle up, see what I'm getting into here.
God. Yeah, because apparently the development, the game became a thing after someone misread Michael Jordan's Wikipedia page. They didn't know what the canon thing was referring to, like, is Space Jam canon or something else canon? They just took that and said, you know what, we're making a canon game. This happens in real life.
Wow.
But I want to talk about the gameplay, too.
Sure.
Much like Night Quest in last month's podcast, there is no traditional attack command for anybody. Barkley, Balthios, Cyberdwarf, your son Hoops, everyone has their own unique set of attacks they can do, and some of them are crap and useless, but the point is they all have their own little mini-game that they do. Like, Barkley is one of the more complicated ones, and I'm not going to talk about all of them, just Jumper. Like, you press up, and he throws a jump shot at the enemy. Now, while holding up, you can also hold left or right, and those exchange damage for guard and vice versa. So if you do a fadeaway jumper, you jump backwards, you do less damage, but your guard increases. Or you can do a forward jumper, where you do more damage, but your guard decreases. Then you have, like, Cyberdwarf, who's I don't know what the hell you call his skill, but like you set up a combo basically of like punches and kicks and suplexes and shit.
It works kind of like Zell from Final Fantasy VIII. You have like punches, kicks, and something else too, and then you can also input a command to do like a finishing move. It actually works more like a Legend of Legaia, now that I'm thinking about it. You've got a certain number of slots to fill. Unlike Legend of Legaia, though, it's timed, so you have to kind of go quick, and it's not very forgiving either.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, and then for Balthios, I basically just leaned on his main attack where you mash the key as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, same. I never bothered to learn the other one.
Yeah, I really like that everyone has options for normal attacks instead of just the one.
Yeah.
You mentioned Balthios, right? And then like his normal attack, your favorite is like magic based or brain based, whatever. But it's like there are enemies that are super strong against magic, so his secondary attack is good for those.
That's fair. Yeah. I kind of brute forced my way through the entire game, so I didn't really bother with.
But I mean, like some bosses have like absurdly high magic defense, so like his skills won't work. That his best attack doesn't work, but his optional attack works fine because it's purely physical.
Gotcha. Huh.
Right, because with his main attack, Balthios channels the magic of the Zaubers, not sabers, the Zaubers.
Zaubers, not German for magic, just Zaubers.
to send out, like, a magic based on the sword he's using. So it could be like the Fire Zauber or the Time Zauber, or what have you. But the second attack is a series of slashes, and you have to input a button at the right time to do the maximum damage.
And that one's physical.
Yeah.
Are all of Barkley's physical? I'm pretty sure they are.
He's literally hitting someone with a basketball every single time.
Right. I'm just making sure here.
Speaking of that, so this is a good example of blending story and gameplay, because each character not only has their unique spells, as it were, but their own unique weapons and attacks. So all of Barkley's are basketball-based. He's throwing a basketball at somebody somehow. Balthios is a magic swordsman. Hoops has a gun.
Responsible parenting.
Yeah. But the other cool thing that they do at the beginning of the game is, because basketball is banned, Charles Barkley is equipped with a soccer ball.
Yes.
You can buy a volleyball, and then after the first dungeon, you get a proper basketball.
And it's contraband. It's clearly contraband.
Yep. Yeah, and it is mentioned that in the fluff, the flavor text, that don't get caught with this, but it's still just interesting that despite being a basketball player, he plays with a subpar ball because he doesn't want to get arrested in the post-cyber apocalypse.
I also want to mention, like, have you guys tried their defense options? Because each of them are also different.
I noticed that, and then I realized they were crap, so I didn't use them anymore.
Well, yeah, but I thought it was interesting. Like, Balthios has actual counterattack rather than just reducing defense, and he counterattacks for every hit on him.
Okay, that makes it useful, because I remember
for him, I guess.
Yeah, because I remember using them early on, just to try them out, and like Barkley's increases his guard by 66%, and okay, cool, but fadeaway jumper will increase it by 33.
Right.
And then with Balthios' counterattack, I noticed that it does not reduce the damage he takes. Unless you're getting hit more than once, you're kind of forfeiting your turn. But I mean, if he can,
right.
If he can get hit multiple times, I guess that works for clearing out, especially like the little b-ball droids.
Yeah, and like the other two have like different mechanics for their guards too. Like Hoops has a 100% dodge, but for the first attack.
Okay.
Yeah, and Cyber Dwarf has cover, I believe, where he will take a hit for somebody else at reduced damage.
Yep.
See, those are all interesting. Didn't use any of them. I never
yeah,
even looked at the defense options, to be honest.
Yeah, but it shows that like they all like have their own unique play style, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like they're all individuals.
Yeah, no, and that's a good thing to do too, to make sure that everything is cool across the board. It's just I didn't do it.
It's fine.
Why can't you appreciate every ounce of personality they put into these characters, Red Mage?
Oh god damn it. Shut up, truck pump.
Oh god, I read every truck pump rant, like every single one, and then I got to the end, and they're like, "Here, let's do a quiz," and I was like, "Oh, all right, cool. I read all of these," and then I got about halfway through, and then I was like, I apparently stopped paying attention to these because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh god. I remembered all of them because I also read the truck pumps are where you save your game, but you're treated to this long essay about RPGs like it's some hardcore otaku who doesn't like anything that the Baka Gaijin have done to his pure Japanese games.
Yeah.
So you're treated to like 2 or 3 minutes of reading every time you want to save, unless you just mash the button and don't care. There is a quiz at the end. The final truck pump gives you a quiz, and after he gives it to you, Barkley's like, just shut up and let me fucking save. So he's the only truck pump that just cuts the bullshit after that. I got every question right, except the last one. And then it turns out I got the last one right because I knew how Japanese language works.
Okay.
Because the last question is, it's like, what's my favorite video game? And it's the same, like, Japanesey title, but it's spelled a bunch of different ways.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
But, I mean, generally, if you pick the most weeaboo answer possible, you get the answer right.
Right. And, yeah, from what I was reading online then, too, apparently it doesn't even matter if you get it right. You still don't get anything. So...
Well, you do get something. It's just not worth it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the library card?
Yep.
Yep. God.
Oh, fucking library cards.
There was so much useless shit in that game. Like,
yeah.
Like, you can't actually hack the vending machines.
Yeah, insufficient science points. Insufficient science points. Like,
Well, this isn't Fallout, you know.
well, it's true, but like, I was like, okay, all right, I get it. And then I get Vince, who's like a half cyborg, and I'm like, ah, cool. Maybe now I can hack the vending machines.
No.
Nope.
He didn't build himself like that, yo.
Or like when you get Cyber Dwarf, also cybernetically minded. Still can't hack the fucking vending machine.
Nope.
God. Or like on Liberty Island, you have to escape that room, and there's a rope, right?
Oh yeah, that rope. Yeah, that rope's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, before you get to that room, there's a well in the center of the island, right? You would think that you would need a rope or a bucket or something, but nope. The only bucket you can find is busted, and the rope you have. You talk about the rope.
Okay. So there's a rope in this room. And on Liberty Island, there are several options for each thing. It's kind of like an old school King's Quest kind of thing. You can examine rope, take rope, use rope, whatever. And Barkley says, I have no use for this rope. So then you try using the rope for kicks and giggles, and suddenly he ties a knot in the rope, and he says, I tied a knot in the rope. There are 1 knots in the rope. And then you try and take it. He's like, I have no use for this rope that has 1 knots in it. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, guess I better tie more knots. I got up to about 11, and he still wouldn't take the fucking rope.
Yeah. Yeah, I got up to about 20, and it's just so ominous too with the way that he puts it. It's just like this rope, which has 20 knots in it, I have no use for, and you're like, what do you want from me, Barkley? What do you want from me? And then also, speaking of useless bullshit, there's like the hidden basketball dimension that you go to, and then there's like the little pet raising sim.
Oh boy.
Where where you get a pet basketball and you can like train it or you can feed it and you can water it and you can talk to like the main guy there and he's like, okay, so this will increase attack and defense, it'll lower speed. This will increase this and this but lower this. And I'm like, oh, cool. I wonder if I can actually use this for something. So I spent a whole bunch of money on this basketball, which I was at the end of the game, so it didn't matter anyway. But I was also kind of under the assumption that there's a tournament there, too, and I thought you'd have to use the basketball. Nah, that doesn't do anything. You just throw money at this basketball, and nothing happens.
It's just like Chocobo training, yo.
But the chocobos you can use for stuff.
No, you don't.
That's how you traverse the world. That's how you get the Knights of the Round materia. That's how you can do chocobo racing and get a lot of extra stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it, and the basketball just sits there.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness, you sound upset.
Fuck that basketball.
God. I'm in the same boat. I found the b-ball dimension and the little basketball raising sim. I'm like, okay, stats. Okay, I've raised a Chow before in Sonic Adventure. Cody's got this. Cody's got it. We're gonna get it done. And then the guy said, like, for every single play, like, if you dribble a ball, it'll tire it out. Okay, fair. If you pass the ball, it'll tire it out. Okay. If you dunk a ball, it'll tire it out. Okay, sure, whatever. So I said, all right. I'm not seeing any, like, stat growth or anything, so I'm just gonna tire this basketball out and wait for it to get mad at me. And it never did.
Okay. I didn't even try that far. I was like, oh no, my pet, I can't let it get mad at me.
I must pay off my pet with money.
I just gave it the finest food and drink, and it was just kind of like, eh.
You have the shiniest pet rock in the neighborhood, Red Mage.
Yeah, apparently. Fuck that rock.
God damn.
There were a lot of trolley things, though, like that in the game that really just didn't have any purpose other than to piss me off, probably.
You know what? I want to compare this to something that came afterwards. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the podcast before, maybe during Undertale, but, like, I am not a big fan of Homestuck because it will go out of its way to piss off the reader, and it will do so in a way that destroys its own story. Like Homestuck will go out of its way and ruin its own story and how enjoyable it is just to say gotcha to the reader. So, like, for example, let's say there's a Wendy's, alright? It's got the Wendy's sign, it looks like a Wendy's, it's got all the logos, the menus, the drive-thru. You walk in and it's a Jamba Juice. I'm
what
like,
even is that? Jeez.
Alright, you got me. I'm here. I'll buy a smoothie, but I'm never fucking coming back.
Right.
I'll walk in and they'll go, ha ha, surprise, it's a Jamba Juice. And I'll be like, yeah, wow, you sure did get me. But you have eliminated my trust forever.
Right.
But in Barkley, those trolley things are all off to the side. Like hacking the vending machine. It's not part of the plot. You know, you put yourself through it, or like raising the basketball. Now, if those things were required for the story, then I would be like, this piece of shit game is making me not want to like it.
Right.
Yeah, but because they're off to the side, it's like, oh, haha, well, joke's on me, whatever.
That's fair, because everything that's in there that is off to the side like that is no side quest, is no main quest, is no quest at all. It's just kind of thrown in there, just kind of like on the side. If you go to it, it'll really make you think, but it doesn't really do anything other than that.
Yeah, whereas like with Homestuck, you have to read from page 1 to page 6,000,003.
Yeah.
And you don't know where the bullshit ends.
Yeah.
Some of those side stuff's really good, though.
Oh no, they're all really, like, once I was done with the game, they were all very funny to me, but while I was playing the game, not so much. Because I was just like, I mean, they take and subvert so many JRPG cliches, that you don't know when they're going to subvert something and when they're going to play it straight. So there was a door in the final area that was like, oh, we don't have the key for this. So it's probably back in Chuchulane's tomb. And there was someone earlier in the game that mentioned that there may be a key in the tomb to unlock a door somewhere. But there's no key in the tomb that you can get. So I'm in this final area just being like, all right, I want to go into this door, but I can't. It was like Arya story all over again, where I thought the side door was somewhere I had to go and come back to, but there wasn't. I just misunderstood something. Again.
That was right after Cesspool X. There's a door that you literally can't open, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Right after that in the sewers, yeah.
Yeah, they just tease it at you. Yeah.
And then it comes back in full force at the end of the game.
How about side quests that we liked? Because, like, anything that involved, like, writing worked pretty well. Like, negotiating the Choop mines between the genies and the Dwergars. That was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Did you do that, RM?
Yeah, I did that one. I went and sided with the Durger.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you decide to like play the middle of the line, you get absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I kind of figured that just based on all the other troll stuff in the game. I was like, all right, if I try and like play this straight and actually reach a compromise, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, so...
And I was right.
For those of you who haven't played it, there's a part late in the game where you go to the Choop mines. Or Chup, I don't know. It's blue. I don't know what a blue Chup is, but the Dwergars do all the mining and the genies do all the managing. And the Dwergars are bloodthirsty, like dwarf fortress type dwarves, where they're kind of stupid and murder happy, but they do the mining. And then you have the genies who are total racist assholes who are actively like poisoning and sickening and pissing off the Dwergars because they can.
Yeah.
So you can negotiate a truce between them, and you're basically siding with stupid or evil. And whichever one you side with gives you a special item, which is pretty cool. I tried to go down the middle, and I failed. I still ended up siding with the Dwergars a little, but siding with them a little still gets you their item.
Should we talk about what you get out of it?
No.
Oh, fine. We'll not. We'll keep that a secret.
Yes, and if they side with the genies, we'll keep that a secret too. But it's the only way to see Shaq in the game.
It's true. That is his only appearance.
Think about it.
The other one is the love poem quest. That was silly.
Oh boy.
I really enjoyed that one just because of it. Mostly because, despite the fact that it was kind of silly and kind of stupid, honestly, it really you get to see a lot of character from the three characters that you had at that point. Because you've got Balthios, who is the magic swordsman, and he is all like, no, we need to rewrite this and do the right thing and use this extremely flowery language. And Barkley's just like, I literally don't care. I literally do not care, could not care less. Can we just leave? Please. And then you've got Vince, who is the cyborg, who basically just kind of is... I mean, he doesn't do a whole lot, but in that particular scene, because you got to talk to a girl first to kind of figure out what she likes to rewrite this, and he just kind of downloads everything that she says, and then at each point in this love poem, Balthios has like written a first part, you kind of choose the second, and there's like different things that'll rhyme, and then there's what Vince says, which doesn't rhyme at all, but is basically taken verbatim from what the girl said before.
Yes.
And so without looking at a guide, I was just like, okay, this girl's an idiot, and so I'm just going to go with whatever Vince says because I bet she'll like it, and she does.
Wow. Oh, boy.
But it was just a very good introspective into the characters, and it was a very neat way to do that without being in your face about it, and just getting to kind of see the different characters' opinions on everything.
It was so fucking absurd, but it worked so well.
Yeah. Though, one thing's, I guess, kind of speaking of characters, it's probably the only thing that really bothered me as far as the characterizations go, is that Barkley was, like, inconsistent as all hell. in some scenes he was very straightforward, he was level-headed. In other scenes he was kind of off and just kind of confused about what was going on in general, despite being present for every revelation. When you got the super basketball and got it recharged and everything, he became enlightened and he saw and understood everything up until he retrieved the thing that he was after, and then he goes back to being kind of stupid again. So his lack of character consistency was kind of the main thing that bothered me throughout the game. There were things he stuck to, of course, but he never seemed to have one voice, and that kind of bothered me.
Yeah, he kind of became whatever the scene demanded.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And luckily for most of the game, you have Balthios and Cyberdwarf who are very involved in the post-cyber apocalypse. They know a lot. Their job is to explain the things to Barkley and by extension the player. And it's Barkley's job to go, I don't give a fuck, shut the fuck up, it's time to slam and jam.
Yeah.
Also, you have Michael Jordan in the game as the b-ball inspector, and I liked him, mainly because, Barkley was on screen a long time and it was hard to keep him consistent, but Jordan was very consistent. He sold out.
Yes.
He straight up sold out, and then they used the sprite from Moonwalker for Genesis and made him a guy that shoots guns out of his feet.
Yep.
Which totally was not stolen for Bayonetta.
Yeah, definitely not. They did it first. They are the original foot gun people. Jordan was consistently a pretty solid bad guy. He did a lot of the same thing that you see from Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII and Kefka in Final Fantasy VI, where he just generally showed up at the least opportune time, out of nowhere, for no real reason. But anytime he showed up, you're like, oh no, shit's gonna get bad. And it did.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, again, it's just more tributes to these other series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the music? The music's real good.
And most of it's original, too.
Yeah, I mean, some are slight remixes, but other than that, still pretty good.
I enjoyed the music. I will admit, after a while, kind of got a little old, but I'm also not a music guy. I mean, I enjoyed it when it was on, from where it was, but there were times where I would just kind of turn the music off, just play without until I got to a new area, just so I could hear the new tracks. But
this coming from the guy who enjoyed the 7-second Yume Nikki loops.
That's true. That's very true, as a matter of fact.
Maybe it's because you didn't enjoy the final battle music with Michael Jordan.
Oh no, I definitely did.
Dude, you can't not like one. Sweet Georgia Brown.
At least that one you got right. It's so intense, that music. In that context, it's so intense.
And it kind of shows too at that point that even if Jordan had sold out, his soul isn't completely gone. He still remembers the good times of b-ball, and he still wants it to be a thing. This is the only way that he can have anything with it without getting killed over it.
Yep.
I mean, as far as the music goes in general, like I said, it works. It does everything that it sets out to do. I don't know. It didn't tickle. It didn't tickle me very, very well, I guess.
I found most of it to be fitting, atmospheric. Some of it sounded like it could have been from Secret of Mana or Chrono Trigger or something, and I enjoyed that. The Space Jam remix at the beginning is pretty good. And their choice of boss song Eternity, I don't know, the description for the song in the game file says, holy shit, the guy from Deep Purple sang this. But I don't think they commissioned the guy from Deep Purple to sing it. I think they found it it was some band that sang it. And really, Eternity isn't a great track, but in the context of the game, that makes it great.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I think I heard from someone that song is from Blue Dragon. So, yeah. I'm not sure. That might be a lie. So, who knows? You
know what? It's canon now.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's canon.
All right.
Anything else we want to praise this game on before we go into the criticisms?
I like the animation of the Spalding CEO's Ultra Dunk. The animation of that dunk is the best ever. It's my kind of attack. I love it. Like 7 out of 10. We'll dunk again.
Can you describe it for our audience, Robin?
Oh man. Okay. Imagine Inferno Cop.
Okay.
If you don't know what Inferno Cop is, too bad. It is the smoothest animated dunk you can do with a single frame ever.
Even better than Shadow
so
Barkley, where they just kind of
devastating, too.
flip him around a bit.
Oh god. I think people should experience it themselves.
Yeah, if y'all want to see the animations, go play the goddamn game. They're all great. Even freaking Michael Jackson shooting guns out of his feet.
That's true.
And it's not expensive, right? The game.
Last I heard, it was on sale. It's free.
Yep, it's on sale
yeah.
for the low price of nothing.
It's been on sale for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder how much they'll price the next game.
Well, see, they'd have to release it first, Robin.
Oh, they haven't
true.
yet? Well,
No,
maybe they'll release it like after a month after we do this podcast.
Well, according to their FAQ on their Kickstarter, it'll be released late 2013 or early 2014. So.
Oh, so we're well on our way.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Fun fact. Barkley 2, the Kickstarter launched in November of 2012. So it launched about 5 months after I started work on Defeat the Darkness, and I got done first. Like, that's what I have to keep reminding myself. No matter how long I took on that web series, I still managed to get it fucking done. I beat Anonymous Agony. I beat every Kickstarter I ever donated to. Like, I'm okay. But, anyway, so for the Kickstarter thing, they're trying to use, like, all original assets. Like, they're being careful with Charles Barkley's name. They're going to do original graphics. They're basically going to make sure that the game is original and able to make money. But I'm wondering, what could they possibly offer people who've played Barkley 1? Because the original wasn't about the stolen art. It wasn't about the stolen music.
Right.
It was about this grand epic quest, of Charles Barkley and redeeming B-Ball. And Barkley 2 appears to be a single-player action game. Like, you don't have a party, you're just controlling hoops.
Yeah, it's just an ARPG. Which, I mean, to be fair, too, they've kind of, I mean, they haven't run the gamut, of course. There are more, JRPG tropes that they could look at, but it feels like they're just kind of being like, all right, well, we hit everything with the standard. Let's make an ARPG and kind of mess with those tropes, like the Zelda and all those then, too, to kind of look at as well. But I don't know. Like you said, everything at that point was. It doesn't really matter that used things that weren't theirs, because some of the character sprites for the battles were just blatantly stolen and maybe minorly recolored from other games. But at the end of the day, that didn't take away from the game at all.
Barkley 2 will be more polished, but will it be more enjoyable?
That's for sure. It's a good question for sure.
Yeah, because I saw a rating scale for movies, and it's 2 5-star scales. The first one is the craftsmanship, how well it was made, and the other one was 5 stars for fun factor, and that is what separates the movie Room from the movie The Room. I haven't seen Room, but apparently it's a masterfully crafted, boring piece of shit. Whereas The Room is built like a piece of shit, but it's fun with the right group of friends.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And you look at like Aria's story, well-polished game. Very well-polished. But that's why they call it polish. It's the last step. You really want good core gameplay and a good story and strong characters underneath, and then you can polish them.
Yep. And this too, I mean, because looking here just at some of the updates, because there was an update on this in October of 2017, so they're still working on the game, presumably, just very slowly. There seems to be a fair bit of character stuff in here, and other information that's listed in this, and kind of some going into the different characters. All of the art looks really good, but with all this polish that they're putting on there, is it going to be something that is still going to be a game that is super entertaining and fun, or is it just going to be something that tries a little bit too hard and is too polished and doesn't really have anything to offer? It is hard to say.
Indeed.
All right, so we're going back to what we don't like about it, or what?
Yeah, while we were on Kickstarter, I wanted to get all the Kickstarter stuff in one section so we aren't bouncing around like a bunch of ADD idiots.
Like
That's
you.
fair.
All right.
Yeah, we have to pretend that we're professionals.
All right, okay.
Yeah. While I enjoyed how many words the game used, it was quite loquacious, as it were.
Yeah.
It feels like West of Loathing, where I'm smarter for having read it all. I didn't necessarily enjoy it looking at it, but I know that it had benefits afterwards, You feel smarter reading it. But the game was a tad bit melodramatic.
Just a little, yeah.
I mean, I understand that was the point, so I give it a pass, but I don't know if I could play something just as melodramatic anytime soon.
That's fair, especially something that's played straight, too, because this game is, like I said, obviously a parody, so the fact that it's so dramatic just kind of adds to the way that it is parodying JRPGs. But if it's something that was this intense and played straight, I don't know that I would be able to make it through it, because it is just so ridiculous over the top sometimes. And as I mentioned before, Barkley's inconsistency as a character is probably one of the biggest things that turned me off to it. Just the fact that, as was stated earlier, it's just he is exactly what the scene needs him to be in order to carry the story forward, even if it's not necessarily the same character that he was in the last scene.
Yeah, you remember the, what the hell is it? The temple where the Jamicide is?
Mm-hmm.
And they all get tempted?
Yep.
Okay, so, we are introduced to Charles Barkley, commenting on the chaos dunk he performed that started the B-Ball Purge, and lamenting the loss of his wife, Maureen. You start the game equipped with Maureen's ring, which is her wedding ring. Charles clearly misses her and needs her back in his life. At this temple, they are presented with their greatest temptation, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things. It's Cuchulain's temple, or Cuchulain's tomb.
Yeah.
So everyone is presented with the thing they most desire in the world. Balthios gets faced with Zauber books. He wants to build his knowledge of Zauber tech, but he resists it and moves on with the puzzle. Cyberdwarf sees himself in normal skin and not basketball skin.
Right.
He resists the temptation, moves forward. Hoops doesn't see anything because he's the chosen one, whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
For 5 trivia points, what does Charles Barkley see?
Mr. Barkley sees not only gold, but Incan gold.
Incan gold!
Gold! A desire that has never been brought up in the game up to this point. Yet, we've heard about Maureen 10 or 15 times.
Yeah, at least once a scene.
Yeah, and like even the love letter thing. Barkley hated the love letter side quest. He didn't want to do it. But Balthios reminds him, I'm sure you wrote a couple of those back in the day, and he's like, why you gotta bring up Maureen like that, man?
Right.
And bringing up Maureen there would have made it more melodramatic than it already is, but it was also appropriate.
Yes. The other thing, too, is that, again, Barkley has shown himself to not be the most intelligent individual, but prior to going in, I think it was Cyberdwarf was like, hey, before we go in, let me give this a bit of information to you. He's going to tempt you with what you want the most of. Don't fall for it, or you'll release him. And everybody's like, okay. And then Seek the Cold, Barkley, the other two are like, oh no, this is a trick. Barkley on the other hand is like, oh hell yeah, give me that gold. Doesn't even like consider that it's a trick, and then it's gone, and then he's released Cuchulainn into the world again.
Oh boy.
Good job, dumbass.
Way to break it,
okay.
hero.
He'll fix basketball eventually, so yeah.
Yeah. Going into more criticisms on my end, unlike Cody, and this is where I will staunchly disagree, I do not really much care for Shadow Barkley as the final boss. It's kind of a JRPG trope that was highlighted even higher in Final Fantasy IX, Christ. But basically, the big bad, you have never had any inkling of its existence. There has been no hinting, no foreshadowing, no anything. And you take out the guy that you had been all this experience with, and then the big bad just kind of rolls him and is like, hey, I'm the final boss. And you don't really have any connection or care to this guy for the most part. They push it a little bit by him being the personification of Barkley's need to slam and jam, which he hasn't been able to do for years. He's the residual B-ball energy when he was trapped in the basketball with the 4 other NBA players in Space Jam, given strength over time. But there's no real, like, connection with him that I felt. And I mean, it was a good final boss fight. I just wasn't, like, all that, into him showing up. It just... That felt a little forced to me, and I know that that's a JRPG trope that they were obviously exploiting and subverting, but it didn't do it for me. If it did it for you guys, that's cool.
Well, I mean, we still got the Jordan fight, though.
We did.
It's kind of like, Adam would bring this up, the Lord of the Rings RPG, I think for, like, PS2.
Oh, yeah, that one.
You fight, like, the Witch King or whatever, like you're supposed to, and, like... That seems like the proper end of the quest, but then suddenly you're teleported to the top of the Tower of Sauron and you fight the Eye for no reason.
Yeah. The game was great.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
no. But, no, and I... Because, like, Jordan kind of felt like, to equate it to Final Fantasy VII, in that game, you're after Sephiroth the whole time, and then you go down there, and then you fight Jenova first. And that's kind of what Jordan felt like to me was the Jenova fight. Like, he's not the final boss, and so then you're expecting something else that you've had some minor experience with to be the final boss. Like I was considering it being like Klepsipeth, or just any of these other major names that they had dropped. And someone that I could be like, okay, well, I've heard of you this whole time, so there's more weight to you being present. But it was Shadow Link from Adventures of Link. It's kind of like, yo, I'm you but evil. It's like, oh, okay. But that's just my take on it, because it ruined it for me, especially, like I said, Final Fantasy IX. I don't even remember the guy's Necron, I think his name is, but you are after Kuja the entire time in Final Fantasy IX. You fight him, you beat him, you're like, cool, we have saved the world, and then Necron just kind of rolls up and he's like, hey, let's fight. And I mean, there's a little more to it than that, but not much. And that's the final boss. Some guy you've never heard of, have no connection to, don't even care about, has no relation to the story as far as I remember. I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
Hey, Red Mage, for 10 trivia points, what's the name of the spaceship you go on to fight Shadow Barkley?
I know this
Oh,
one.
it is Necron, isn't it? I missed that. Okay.
Robin, what's the full name of the spaceship?
It's the Necron 5.
10 points for Robin.
Yay. Now I can give it to my favorite Harry Potter, Hufflepuff.
Fuck Necron.
Oh, jeez. I'll go next. The part I didn't like, I guess, as much as everything else was... I liked a lot of things in the game. It's like, the humor is pretty off the wall. It's my kind of thing, and like the gameplay is pretty solid, even though it looks kind of like a joke game.
Mhm.
What I didn't like was the Liberty Island arc. So, at one point, like during the story, like I keep saying, the story is escalating and escalating as it goes on. The part I didn't like was when they started the Liberty Island arc, where Hoops gets poisoned by Jordan with super diabetes.
Yeah.
And okay, I can understand like we do it because we have to, but it felt a lot more filler-like than the rest of the game, or the rest of the main story points. Anyway,
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, if Jordan knew that Hoops was the chosen one or whatever, and you had an opportunity to capture or kill him, why did you poison him with super diabetes?
Right. Why don't you just shoot him?
Yeah, that thing you've been doing in basically every boss fight. Yeah, it was, so Hoops is poisoned, and you go to this island, and you do all the Zork-style, navigation, picking up and examining items and stuff, and there's no real point to it, because if you take that whole sequence out, then you just go to the Necron 5 and you beat the game, basically.
Yeah, because right after that you go to Kukulain's tomb. So, I mean, you could have just gotten the basketball, went to the tomb to recharge it, and then went to Necron. So, yeah, at the end of the day, that whole scene just could have been neatly surgically removed, and the game itself wouldn't have changed at all.
Yeah, and it wasn't a very good arc either.
Not really.
Yeah, kind of. But like, on the other hand, there is like that island has a couple of secrets on there. Like, I have heard there's a secret boss and a special weapon for Cyberdwarf, so he can finally have an attacking skill. Jeez.
Yep, chaff grenade.
But like, other than that, it's like it feels like filler, even though it's not. I guess the only thing was like the ferry or the underground railway. I guess.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that.
That's the only thing, I guess, where they go into the backstory of the characters a little bit, but the rest of the Liberty Island thing is not good for me.
Yeah, getting there is weird because you get a choice. You can either take the ferry or the subway, aka the Underground Railroad, piloted by anime Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
And there is a small difference, because if you take the ferry to the island, it's Columbus Day. And Balthios turns into a big, fearsome Dwergar that you have to fight every Columbus Day.
Yep.
So you and Cyberdwarf have to beat some sense into Balthios. But I agree that there could have been a better way to do that and add some context to everything, as opposed to basically a sharp left turn away from the ultimate goal of uncovering the conspiracy of Blood Moses.
Right. And I'm not sure if there's some trope that I'm forgetting that whole thing was supposed to represent. Because, I mean, that'll happen sometimes in games, but it's almost always optional, and that was not. Because y'all didn't take the subway, which I did. So basically on the subway, you've got another QuickTime event thing with more of Jordan's lackeys. And then after that, on the way back, you learn about Hoop's origins. When he was born, he wasn't live birth. He was an egg with like basketball, like the bumps and the black lines and all of that, which then hatched into Hoops. And also that the chaos dunk that happened that killed everybody went into it, basically a scene from NBA Jam, I'm pretty sure, of him dunking with the chaos dunk, and Hoops being the only one that was somehow still alive despite everyone else being dead.
God, imagine giving birth to a basketball.
Apparently Maureen was cool with it, so
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
I guess. But, speaking of NBA Jam, that's another thing that pissed me off, is the run meter. It has no point other than to just be a callback to NBA Jam. And that's all. because there's no scenes where you need to have it like saved or stored to avoid fighting someone, or or anything like that. Use it maybe a little bit to sneak up on enemies, but at the end of the day, the only reason it's in there is because of NBA Jam.
Oh, so that's why it was limited.
Yeah.
You think maybe that's where Zelda stole it from, because both in Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, you have a stamina meter, and it only exists to restrict you. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, Link having unlimited stamina and being a ninja would be kind of silly, but it would be more fun.
Yeah. No, it definitely would. And I don't know if they took it from this or just things in general, but whoever had that idea of, let there be stamina, is a terrible person. And you should feel bad.
Death by B-ball.
For sure.
I don't have any more criticism crap, but I wanted to say that I think the gameplay, it was kind of easy, but it was also kind of fair. They knew they were making a joke game, so let's put in a diverse array of skills. Let's make the bosses kind of easy. You can spam magic and win. But also, chicken fries. Motherfucking chicken fries. Chicken fries revive all of your characters, restore all their HP, all of their MP, and remove any negative statuses they have. So they're basically like that cure-all that you can only find like 2 or 3 of in the whole game and you never think to use.
Yep.
But you can buy these for 700 Neo Shekels.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty cool. Like, we don't know if we've balanced the game. We don't know how good you are at RPGs. So you can just cure everything. Whatever. We don't care.
Right. Which, to be honest, actually came in helpful, too, because the final boss, which I'll admit I laughed a lot at when it first showed up. Basically, after you fight one winged angel, Dark Barkley, you fight him, you beat him, and he's like, okay, now it's time for my final form. And it's just a T-Rex with Barkley's head on. But anyway, he's got an attack that just insta-kills 2 characters. And so having the chicken fries to just mass res people, very good. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
boy.
and in that context, it's one of those items like you don't have to buy it if you want to do like a harder run and see if you can beat it without chicken fries. You're still free and able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be much harder, but yeah, you definitely can.
Yeah, and that's like, I talked about Final Fantasy Tactics forever ago. Like, Final Fantasy Tactics, if you know how to play, is a very easy game. But it allows you the flexibility to play it how you want and make it more difficult for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can basically customize the difficulty to your own experience. Because, I mean, you can go and get new squares every single mission if you want. I don't know why you would, but you can.
That'd be a little expensive, but I almost kind of want to do it now.
Okay.
Oh boy.
God. All right,
But
go ahead.
no, because I'm trying to think if there's any other criticisms or just things I wanted to bring up. Oh, yeah, okay. One that I had that, and this is less a criticism and more just an observation. Of everyone on the team, at least for me, Barkley was like the least effective at whatever he was supposed to do. He's kind of an all-rounder, but I didn't, like, Cyberdwarf was the best character. He did the most damage, he took very little, he could heal himself, he could heal the whole party. He was basically the best character, in my team anyway. Never really had any problem that Cyberdwarf could not resolve. The way I played with Balthios was basically just straight debuffing, and that allowed Hoops to just do a ridiculous amount of damage with his attacks. But Barkley, aside from his double team, so the first skill?
Yep.
Yeah, aside from double team, didn't really ever do that much for me.
Yeah, I was in the exact same boat, except I wasn't good with Hoops either, but I also wasn't debuffing. Using Balthios and Ice Albert. Ice Albert was really good. I didn't actually look at the damage I was doing with Cyberdwarf until you told me that he was overpowered, and then I realized he was doing like 500 or 600 damage and Barkley was doing 150.
Yeah.
If I also had Barkley equipped with the Nikes basically all game, and that increases his speed, which should also increase his accuracy, but I I was really good at using pass, which was his low accuracy, high damage attack. And that kept him up. That kept him up to speed with everybody else for a good long time, but there came a point where even with the Nikes, even with hitting the minigame perfectly, he was not hitting with pass, and that threw him behind, because instead of doing the same amount of damage as everybody, he was doing the same amount as everybody half the time.
Right.
The other thing, too, is the multi-hit attacks all had weird scaling. So, like, double team, always useful. Hoops' first gun's attack, always useful. Hoops' 30 MP super duper gun attack, 1-1-1-1, 111-1-1. Also, his bullet dance that hit everybody. Like when you first get Hoops, it's useful, but then at the end game, it's ones all around.
Yeah, basically for Hoops, if you don't debuff with Balthios, he's not very good at all. He basically becomes your speed item monkey. But with the debuffs, he became very, very good. But he hit 5 times, whereas Barkley at most is going to hit twice. Well, I don't know. I didn't use free throw. I don't know if he throws both balls at the end for hitting 4 times. Because I just was basically using jump shot every time at that point. So
yeah, no, free throw for me was too weak, and the way it works is like he throws each b-ball twice, so you get 2 attacks on this guy, 2 attacks on this guy.
Okay, so maybe with the debuffs he would have kept up. I didn't think of trying that. Barkley actually became my item runner at the end of the game, because Hoops was doing somewhere in the vicinity of 600 to 700. Cyberdwarf was doing 600 to 700, and then Balthios was debuffing and ice overing, and that's pretty much all he needed to do. And Barkley was just kind of there. Give me Vince back, and but that was, like I said, it's not really a complaint of the game, because Barkley also doesn't fail in any category. He's acceptable in every area, and you would think that me being the red mage, I would appreciate this. It doesn't really come in handy in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, because normally, like, with your Dragon Quest kind of game, like, the hero has healing spells and attack spells, and, like, they're expensive, they're not quite as strong, but they're always useful, whereas Barkley feels more like a master of none. Like,
yes,
he's only filling a role because nobody else can at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's like, I've got nothing else for you to do, so do this. As opposed to, like, oh man, my hero can heal everybody, it's expensive, I've only got 2 of them, but he can do that while my cleric does something else that's more cleric-specific and more important at the moment.
Right. Yeah, my cleric can cast the party-wide shield buff to prevent the boss's next round of attack, and while I won't be doing damage this turn, my hero can get everybody back up to pretty close to full, so the next time that attack comes around, I'll be okay. Whereas Barkley's like, I got 2 balls. I got 2 big old balls. I don't know. That's just me. There's probably ways to make Barkley useful, but I didn't play super in-depth. I didn't learn how to use the pass attack at all. I just used jump shot. So maybe with more practice, he would have been more effective. I don't know.
Well, for the first half of the game, he would have been, yeah. But like I said, at the end, there's just no way to get past a hit.
Yeah.
At least his first skill's amazing, so...
Yeah, double team is great. Especially once you get both balls. Then he goes ridiculously good. But once he's out of SP, MP, TP, whatever kind of P, yeah, he kind of falls off quite a bit in damage.
It's BP, by the way.
BP. Basketball points.
It should have been JP for jam points, but what do I know?
Right. No, we don't know anything. That's why they've completed the game and we haven't.
Any final thoughts before we call it a day?
Not that I can think of. It was a very fun game. I very much enjoyed pretty much everything involved with it, except for the minor grievances that were mentioned that I blew out of proportion. That's about all.
Yeah, I don't like the sprint because of how limited it is for the thing, but other than that, a lot of it's good, I guess.
7 out of 10?
I still don't know what a chup is. If someone knows, tell me, because I figured out what Gatorade gum is, and that's oh well.
Yeah, worth the time, worth the money, a classic, and it's not like a Great Gatsby kind of classic where you don't know why it's famous. Like, it's a modern classic. Anyone could still probably understand it today and enjoy it. Even if you weren't, like, alive for the 90s basketball boom, you would still be able to recognize the names and appreciate what the game is trying to do.
Yeah.
Maybe. For some of you people, yes, it looks like a joke game. Don't be fooled by that. It's really legit. I've heard some people even put it up alongside stuff like Final Fantasies 4 or 6 or whatever. It's pretty good. Play it yourself if you haven't yet. It's a good experience.
Yeah, definitely.
And give us Barkley 2 Tales of Games.
Yeah, for real. I'm ready.
Yes.
And with that, thank you all for listening to the rpgmg podcast. This is Cody, and we'll catch you eventually.
This is Red Mage. We'll see y'all next time.
This is Blue Sky Robin, and I'm gonna go back to mining chups. Whatever those are.
That's right, you do that. And you slam with the best, because if you don't slam with the best, you're jamming with the rest.
It's true.
But seriously though, someone tell me what chups are, I have no idea.